Welcome to STI's presentation on MIPS, Setting Up the Quality Measures. My name is Karen and I will be your presenter today. This webinar will provide you with a quick overview of what the quality category requirements are for 2017. I'll be offering you some resources and helpful hints to help you select your quality measures and the step-by-step instructions on how to set those quality measures up in your system. And then finally, we'll be looking at the scoring methodology for this performance category. For this year, the quality category is worth 60% of a clinician's composite score. There are some MIPS eligible clinicians that will have their ACI related to 0. And that 25% would then be added to the quality category, making their quality category worth 85% of their composite score. You do need to select and report on 6 quality measures. One of the 6 measures must be an outcome or intermediate outcome measure. If an outcome measure is not applicable for your specialty, you would then need to select another high priority measure, which is defined as appropriate use, patient experience, patient safety, efficiency, or care coordination. You do need to report for a minimum of 90 days. Larger groups of 25 or more eligible clinicians who are using the CMS web interface must report on 15 quality measures for the full calendar year. And if you do elect to use the web interface, you do need to register as a group by June 30th. There are 3 performance options for this year, one of which is the test pace option. If you choose the test pace option, you can report on 1 quality measure, which will prevent you from receiving any negative payment adjustments starting in 2019. You can report as an individual or as a group, and the individual will be identified using the combination of their billing TIN and MPI. And for the group, which is 2 or more eligible clinicians, will be identified by their MPI, who have reassigned their billing rights to a single TIN. You do need to use the same identifier for all MIPS performance categories. And for the group practice, you can decide whether or not you're reporting all your providers as individuals or you're going to consolidate that data and report as a group. There are several submission mechanisms to choose from, but you can only choose one to submit your quality data through. You want to keep in mind when selecting quality measures that there are bonus points available. So additional outcome measures are worth 2 additional bonus points and 1 point for each additional high priority measure that you report on. If you choose to submit your quality measure data through EHR reporting, you will get 1 bonus point per measure. Next, we'll be looking at selecting the measures that can be submitted through claims or registry. You're going to want to go to CMS Quality Payment Program website at qpp.cms.gov. Click on Explore Measures and then click on the Quality Measure tab. You'll note that you can do keyword searches or you can filter by the measure's priority level, data submission method, and review the specialty measure sets that are available. Here is a list of the specialty measure sets, and I do want to bring your attention to the disclaimer that is on the website. Note how MIPS eligible clinicians can refer to the measure's specifications to verify which measures are applicable. Not all measures in each specialty measure set will be applicable to all clinicians in a given specialty. And this holds true in general. When you're on the website and you're reviewing the measures, you want to cross-reference over to the specification fact sheets for those measures you're thinking of reporting on to determine whether or not it is applicable for your specialty. The specification fact sheets go into much more detail on how to carry that measure out, and it will also list the data elements for both the numerator and the denominator. So here you can kind of tell, does it speak to your specialty, and is this a measure that you're going to perform well in? Despite the filtering options that the website provides us with, there's no way to just filter out those outcome or intermediate outcome measures. So slide 9 through 11 is a composed list that we pulled from the final rule, listing all the outcome measures. So they're just here for your convenience. So when you're on the website and you want to start reviewing the measures that are available, I pulled the example where I did a keyword search of hypertension. And then I also set the measure priority to high. And I got 2 results back. When you click on the measure name itself, it's going to open up a dialog box, which then gives you the description of the measure. It will note the measure type. In this case, it is an intermediate outcome measure. It will note the priority level, and it will show you all the different data submission methods that you can report this measure through. Now, if the measure seems to be one that you would like to report on, you're going to want to jot down the quality ID number, because you'll make reference to that when you're looking up the specification fact sheet for that measure. While you're on the QPP website, go ahead and click on Education and Tools. You will find under the title Document and Downloads the folder containing the quality measure specifications. When you open that up, it will list all the measures that can be submitted through claims and registry, and note how it does refer to the quality ID number. You want to be careful, open up the correct file, because there may be some slight differences between the reporting data elements if you are submitting that measure through claims or registry. While you're on the website, go ahead and click on the folder titled 2017 Quality Benchmarks, and go ahead and save a copy of the folder titled MIPS Benchmark Results. I'll be talking about benchmarks later in the presentation. Just know that benchmarks do impact the amount of points you could potentially get for a quality measure. So again, working off that tentative list, if you are considering using claims or registry as your method to submit your data through, you want to go to the QPP website. Keep in mind you do need an outcome or a high priority measure to report on, and shoot for those additional outcome and high priorities so you can yield some bonus points. You want to cross-reference over and review the specification fact sheet for each measure you're thinking of reporting on. Make sure it applies to your specialty and it's one that you will perform well in. And then look at the benchmark document. Cross-reference over. Make sure that measures or the measures you're going to report on, each one does have a benchmark, since benchmarks do play a very key role and the amount of points you can potentially get for a quality measure. So how do we set the measures up if we choose to submit them through claims or registry? So here's an example of a specification fact sheet, and as you can see, it goes into a lot more detail on how to carry that measure out. It will also list all the denominator data elements, and the denominator reflects the intended patient population. In this case, the measure is controlling high blood pressure. The population would be any patients between the ages of 18 and 85 years of age who has a diagnosis of hypertension, which is the ICD-10 code I-10. And of course, the patient must be seen during your reporting period, so it's listing all the appropriate office visit codes. It will also then list the numerator codes, and the numerator reflects if you have met the measure, what action was taken to reflect that the measure has been satisfied. So if I did have a patient that falls within this patient population, but she is pregnant, I would have to then report the denominator exclusion code G9231. Note that not all quality measures have exclusion codes, but for this example, it does. It's these G codes that we want to make sure are in our system, set up properly, so we can add them to a procedural checklist. So, to confirm whether or not all these codes are in our system or to add them to our system, we want to be in Practice Manager. You want to click on Administration, Transaction Tables, and then click on Procedure. You can search for the codes by clicking on the glasses icon. And then within the search window, go ahead and key in that G code. And of course, you can change your search criteria to either description or CPT code. And then click Find. If it is in your system, it will reflect in the window above. You would want to double-click on it to open it up to make sure that the quality measure has a check mark in the box. Now, if we need to add the code, you would do so by entering it in the IH code window and then hit Enter. You will need to fill out the description. And since I have several G codes associated with this quality measure, I prefer to use the prefix BP. It kind of helps in the next couple of steps. You'll see where that prefix, it plays an advantage in your search. Go ahead and enter the amount as 0, and you do need to set the type of service it is, as well as the place of service. If you're unfamiliar with the codes in your system, again, you can click on the glasses icon to search for the appropriate code. In this case, type of service 1 reflects medical care, and the place of service, capital O, is for office. And here too, we want to make sure that a check mark is in place next to quality measure. Now we need to set up a procedure checklist in the provider's template so they can record the appropriate steps that were taken. So you want to switch your view over to Template List and search for the template that the provider uses. Typically, it is their progress note. Double-click on it to open it, and you'll find on the left-hand side all the template tools we use in building a template. You're going to want to click on the template tool, Proc List. It's short for Procedure List. Make sure your cursor is where you want that procedure checklist to fall within the template. and then double-click on the icon proc to place it. Now we need to set up that procedure checklist, and we'll start with the Properties box. Click on the little disk icon so you can set the heading of the procedure checklist and click OK. Next, we want to click on the little square icon so we can start adding the codes and editing the tabs. And when you open it up, a procedure checklist for the first time, you'll see that it has defaulted tabs. And you can clean that up very easily by going down and clicking on Group Maintenance. And then you can hit the delete button to clean them up, and then go ahead and add if you want multiple tabs to help organize your codes, your procedure codes. Once you're done cleaning up the tabs and having them set to your liking, go ahead and click OK. Next, we need to add those procedure codes or those G codes that are associated with the quality measure that we're setting up. Now, if you set up multiple tabs, you want to make sure that you click on the tab that you want to add the procedure codes to. Once the tab is highlighted, you want to go down to the bottom of the box and click on Search and Add. Within the condition search, go ahead, and in this case, this is where that prefix comes in handy. Key into the search window BP, in this case BP, and it's going to bring up all the G codes that I need to add for this quality measure. You want to double click on each of the codes in the top window, and when you do so, it pulls it to the bottom window, noting it as a selected code that will be added to your procedure checklist. Once you are done, click OK. And this is what a final checklist looks like when it's all set up. Selecting the quality measures that can be reported through EHR reporting. Now, if you're considering this method of reporting, you want to review the list here on this slide and the next slide, because these are quality measures that we are certified in for 2017. And again, you do need to select 6 quality measures. One must be an outcome measure. If this outcome measure is not applicable to your specialty, then there are high priority measures available for you to choose. To review the specification fact sheets on these ECQMs, you want to go to STI's website, click on Resources, click on the MIPS heading, and then open up the document titled Clinical Quality Measures 2017 version. The document will have all our ECQMs listed. Go ahead and double-click on the measure itself to review how the denominator and numerator are defined. And of course, it's going to list the data elements for each. And in this case, this particular measure talks about setting up SNOMED codes for either a procedure or a diagnosis. And it also requires that you link LOINC codes to lab results. So this is a really good example to show you how to set that up. Not all the ECQMs require you to set up SNOMED codes or LOINC codes, but some do. Go ahead and click on the plus sign to open up so you can view the list of SNOMED codes or LOINC codes. When we're talking about SNOMED codes, when we attach it to either a procedure code or diagnosis code, you must be in a patient's chart in clinical to do so. This is not something that you set up in Practice Manager or through template editing. And also note that you must do this for each provider. So we're going to start by showing you how to attach a SNOMED code to a diagnosis code. So again, go ahead and click on the plus sign to open up so you can see a complete list. You do not need to attach all the SNOMED codes listed. You just want to find the most generic code. Next, you want to open up that patient's chart and open up an office visit note that does contain a diagnosis checklist. And click on the appropriate diagnosis that you need to link the SNOMED to. You'll note if a SNOMED code has or has not been attached, and if you do need to attach it, or to set it up if a SNOMED code has been attached and it's not a valid SNOMED code for the quality measure you're setting up, you would need to change it. So you can just simply highlight it and delete it, or in this case, I'll walk you through the steps on how to add it. So we want to click on the search button. Within the search dialog box in the top window, go ahead and key in the SNOMED code that you need to attach. And once it is highlighted, click OK. And as you can see, the SNOMED code has been attached to this ICD-10 code. Very important step is you want to click the Save button under User Defaults, and then click OK. Next, we are going to be attaching a SNOMED code to a procedure code. Very similar steps. You want to open up the patient's chart and open up an office visit note that contains a procedural checklist, in this case that contains your office visit codes. Click on the appropriate office visit code, and as you can see, if a SNOMED code has or has not been attached, and then click Search. Again, you're going to key in the appropriate SNOMED code, and once it is highlighted, click OK. You'll see the SNOMED code has now attached to the CPT code, and just like we did with the diagnosis, we want to make sure that we hit the Save button under User Defaults and then click OK. Next, I'm going to talk about adding LOINC codes to your lab results. Now, it's all going to depend on whether or not you're receiving your lab results electronically or you are adding your lab results manually. And I'm going to start with those lab results that come in electronically. The system will automatically create conditions on those lab tests that you are receiving. So we want to be in clinical, clicking on Edit, then System Tables, Conditions, and finally click on Results. Within the Results Search dialog box, you want to key in the name of the lab test you are looking for. Once it is highlighted, you will note if a LOINC code has been attached or not, and of course we need to attach it, so you want to click on the Properties icon at the bottom. In clicking up the Properties icon, you want to make sure that there is a check mark next to Results, and then you want to click on the ellipse button so you can do your LOINC search. And again, in the search window above, you want to key in the valid LOINC code for the quality measure you are setting up. When it is highlighted, click OK, and as you can see, the LOINC code has now been attached to that lab test. Click Save. If you are receiving electronic lab results through multiple labs, you would have to set this up. Some labs do vary in the lab name itself. So, for example, Quest might report the hemoglobin A1C as just that, where LabCorp may call it A1C hemoglobin. So again, you're searching, the system will automatically create the condition on how the lab is reporting that lab test to you. Next, we're going to be looking at how to set the lab results up manually, where you are manually entering these lab results. So again, we want to be in Clinical, click on Edit, System Tables, Condition, and then Results. Here we're going to have to add that lab test. So go ahead and click on the Add button. Within the condition name, go ahead and key in the lab test name. And again, you want to make sure that there's a check mark in the results box. And then click on the ellipse button so you can do your LOINC code search. Key in the valid code for the quality measure you're setting up, and once it is highlighted, click OK. Next, we will need to add a numeric field within the provider's note. So, you want to be in Clinical, change your view over to Template List, and find that template that the provider or the user will be capturing the lab results in. You want to select the numeric tool on the left-hand side and make sure your cursor is where you want that numeric tool to fall within the note. Click on the icon for placement. Next, we have to set up the properties of that numeric tool. Right-click within the little numeric box itself so you can then edit the properties. We first want to click on the Condition button. In doing so, you are actually searching for the lab test that you have just set up with the attached LOINC code. Once that test is highlighted in the search results window, click OK. Next, we need to add a label. And the label, again, is just going to repeat the lab name itself. And you will want to set the unit. In this case, we're setting up an A1C that is always reflected as a percentage, but some lab results are done in units, so you want to make sure you set the appropriate unit for the lab test you're setting up. It is optional whether or not you keep a warning message. It will default to the value is abnormally high or low. If you delete those statements, you will not get a pop-up warning when you're in the note recording the result of that lab test. And of course, you will need to adjust the value and set that appropriate to the lab test you're setting up. And you may have to adjust the decimal place according to the lab you're setting up. Once your setup is finalized, click OK. And this is how the numeric field will display in your note. Moving on to scoring the quality measures. Your total quality performance category score is derived by taking the points that you've earned for the 6 quality measures, adding up any bonus points, and then dividing it by the maximum number of points. Now, that's going to vary between 60 points or 70 points, and that is due to the all-cause readmission measure. Groups of 17 or more clinicians will only be scored on this measure. if they have beneficiaries attributed to them and they have met the minimum case requirement for this measure, which is 200 cases. This measure is defined as risk standardized readmission rate for beneficiaries ages 65 or older who were hospitalized at a short-stay acute care hospital and experienced an unplanned readmission for any cause to an acute care hospital within 30 days of discharge. Note that CMS will collect this data through claims. You will automatically receive 3 points per quality measure. Now, it is possible that you can be scored and receive anywhere between 3 and 10 points for a quality measure if it can be reliably scored. This is where the benchmarks come into play. If a quality measure has a benchmark, also, you do need to reach the sufficient case volume, and for most quality measures, that is 20 cases or more. For the readmission measure, it is 200 cases. And you need to satisfy data completeness. So for claim submission, you're looking at 50% of your Medicare Part B patients for the performance period, and for all other data submission methods, it is 50% of patients across all payers, but you do need to have one Medicare patient within that population for your performance period that you've satisfied. It is much easier for a clinician if they participate longer than the 90 days to meet the case volume and data completeness. There are some measures that do not have a benchmark, and these are typically new measures or existing measures that have undergone some kind of change for this year's reporting. Without a benchmark, you can only receive 3 marks, regardless if you have met data completeness or you have satisfied the case volume. So, to cross-reference to the MIPS benchmark document, this is where you see if your quality measure does have an existing benchmark. And how the quality measure is scored, you would take your numerator and divide it by your denominator. Now that sum, you're going to find your quality measure, the type of submission mechanism you reported it through, and then plot it on this scale. Then cross-reference over to the decile scale to convert it over to the usable points. Again, each measure will be converted over to points on a scale from 3 to 10. You will receive 0 points for any measure that is not reported. You want to add in any bonus points for reporting on additional outcome or high priority measures, as well as the bonus points for EHR reporting. That total number is then divided by the total possible points, which is either going to be 60 or 70 points if you're being scored on the all-cause readmission measure. That sum is then times by the category weight. For most MIPS-eligible clinicians, that's going to be 60%. For other clinicians who have their ACI reweighted to 0, that would then be 85%. That sum is then times by 100 to give you your total quality performance score. I would like to remind everyone that STI is offering a MIPS assistance program. If you go to our website, you can get more information as well as enroll in the program. You will be assigned a MIPS coach who will assist you in selecting measures that fall under the quality, advancing care, and clinical practice improvement categories. They will help set up your system. They will certainly be monitoring your progress throughout the year, making sure that you're on target for a successful MIPS year to obtain that good, strong composite score. Also, through the MIPS Assistance Program, you're eligible to use our portal to submit your quality measures through. And certainly when it comes time to submitting all the MIPS data, your coach will be there to assist you. The cost of our MIPS Assistance Program is $3,750 for the first provider in the practice, and then $1,875 for each additional provider in the practice. And again, if you want to learn more about our MIPS Assistance Program, please go to our website. You do not have to be in the MIPS Assistance Program if you're interested in using our quality registry. You can certainly sign up for that service without being in the MIPS Assistance Program. But again, if you are in the program, that will be included and it is free for you. Others, you can elect to enroll in the quality registry, and the cost for that service is $590 per provider per year. You can always reach out to CMS Quality Payment Program Service Center if you have any concerns or questions regarding the MIPS program. You can either call them at the number listed on the slide, or you can send them your questions through email at qpp@cms.hhs.gov. And that concludes our presentation for today. Thank you.